Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. All good.
is now live. Thank you. Okay, members, that is now live. And we're going to start with agenda item 1, and that is apologies. I have received an apology from Alderman Burns. Is there any further apologies from the floor or from home? No lights on, no hands up. Okay, so we will move on to agenda item 2, and that is declarations of interest. And I can take them now, members, or as we go through the meeting. So no hands up, no lights on. So we'll move on to agenda item 3, and that is a Deputy Chief Executive report, EDR 2319. And I believe Sam is going to take us through this. So Sam, I will hand over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review was announced in April 2021 with a view to consider how railways in Northern Ireland and Ireland are currently used, what role rail should play in the future, and how the railway could better serve the people of both jurisdictions. The draft review report and associated strategic environmental assessment reports were published for consultation on the 25th of July 2023. The report before members tonight summarises the vision of the review and highlights how some of the 30 recommendations would impact the borough. It also provides an analysis of how the Council's first consultation response has been addressed within the review and identifies opportunities to supplement those through providing additional information, for instance, through provision of the technical feasibility work recently undertaken on the reopening of the Portadown to Armagh railway line. The consultation period closes on the 29th of September, and the recommendation before members is that delegated authority be given to the Deputy Chief Executive to submit a consultation response supporting the recommendations set out in the review draft report. Thank you.
Sam, thank you very much for that report. Members, have we any questions? Just the Deputy Chair, bring in now.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a couple of questions on the All-Ireland Strategic Rail Review. Begin with theme 1. It outlined a timescale for procuring hybrid and electric rolling stock in the medium term. I'd just be keen to understand what the medium term means in terms of a timescale. Is the first point I'd like to raise. There's reference to increasing the speed of the rail lines. I suppose I have a couple of questions off the back of that. One being around price, how would it impact price? And 2, it references moving towards carbon neutrality. And has anything been considered on how increasing the speeds on rail lines will impact carbon neutrality? And then the third point, one sort of in relation to the area that I represent, Craigavon. There's no reference to a Craigavon rail halt. Space is actually allocated in the town plan for this, and I would just encourage that any response that be sent back would encourage a Craigavon passenger halt, really because no one else will lobby for this. So I don't know who's best placed to answer those questions, but be keen to understand those 3 main topics that I'm raising, basically what the response is.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Alexander. Sam, I don't know if you're in a position to answer them. Hand over to you anyway, see how you get on.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I suppose those are all very valid points and things which we could raise in the consultation response. As the report notes, at this point, this review report is really a framework to inform the future direction, and that more work is needed on both the feasibility of the various recommendations and also that environmental impact of it. There are all points that we could put into a consultation response in relation to that on points 1 to 3. On the 4th point around the Craigavon rail halt, there is provision, or through one of the recommendations is to look at an inland freight terminal, is how they've classified it, around Carn and Seago. So perhaps in relation to that, there could be conversation around if a passenger element in Craigavon could be considered as part of that.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Sam. I'll just bring in Alderman Baxter next.
Thank you, Chair. Just in terms of what's been raised at the Craigavon rail halt, I do recall when a motion came to this council about the ambitious Armagh Portadown railway reopening. I think there was some money come from the department at the time to commission a report. There was a consultant came in to commission, I don't know if it was a feasibility study or a feasibility study about a feasibility study, and there was a result from that. And I think what they had said very strongly at the time, if I recall, was about a Craigavon halt, because we've been talking about that here for many years on council. I'm not sure if during your response, Charlene, that we can look at that report that was commissioned. I think it was commissioned by the council and paid for by the department at the time, something in conjunction anyhow. But surely we should be looking at that report to form part of our response. And I think realistically, looking at everything, I think that's maybe more of an achievable goal maybe than other things that are laid out in this report. So I think we need to be quite strong on that halt. I think it's something that would certainly benefit this borough greatly, and it has been talked about for many years.
Thank you very much, Alderman Baxter, for that. I will bring in the Deputy Chief Executive on them points now.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Alderman Baxter. Yes, totally agree. That was a very good outcome in terms of the feasibility study. It certainly has been fed through processes through DFI and TransLink, and from what I understand, will also have been used to inform that all-island strategic rail review as well. But it'll be really important for us to focus on that in our consultation response back again, and to pick up all of the different points here this evening to make sure we get the best outcome overall. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Charlene. And bring in next.
Yes, Chair, thanks for letting me in. And I suppose a couple of Fridays ago at the East Border Region Board meeting, we had a presentation on this, so it's not new to me, but certainly something that I noted from that particular day was the absolute eye-watering overall cost if this was ever to even come close to being implemented. So I would make that point. And I suppose in terms of the practical on the ground stuff, you know, when you start putting, or when you start thinking about putting new railway lines in, there is a lot of landowners, there's a lot of property owners involved, and it is a very long process, and it can be a costly, it can be a very problematic process. Now, I'm sure that has all been considered and will have to be considered, but just it's a word of caution, I suppose, that because it's in a plan and there is good stuff, but it might not necessarily be as easy to implement as it is to produce a report. Chairman,
Thank you very much, Councillor McClellan, and all comments so far will be noted and fed back into the response. So I'll bring in, I can't remember who's in first, so Councillor O'Hanlon, I'll bring you in first up online.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And look, I welcome the publication of the strategic rail review and the plan that's contained within it. I suppose the only thing is it's a 25-year plan, and yes, it's ambitious, yes, it's strategic, and yes, it's expensive, but we need to weigh that with the economic and the environmental benefits that would come with this. As someone who uses the rail on a daily basis, it's amazing the amount of people who travel from across our borough to Belfast for work on the train. So look, I think this is something that could be definitely very much welcome. And as Alderman Baxter referred to, the feasibility study that was commissioned from Council through the Department of Infrastructure, if we could refer back to that, because it made a very strong case for the rail. But it also, I think it was referred to earlier there about the cost of this. This will be borne by two, maybe more governments, and the sooner they get on with it and get a funding package in place, the better. And if it hasn't already been done, I'd like to propose the process that you'd outlined, and given the Chief Executive or the Deputy Chief Executive delegated authority to make the submission on our behalf.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor O'Hanlon. We haven't proposed, but Councillor Keith Hawking wishes to speak, so I'll bring Councillor Hawking in now.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and thank you, Sam, for the report. I was happy to actually propose that, and following Councillor O'Hanlon proposing, I'm happy to second. I think it's a good report. It's progress. It's probably slow progress in the sense that something I think the vast majority of us would want to see developments coming forward on. You would only have to look at a map of Ireland 100 years ago or so to see what railway lines used to look. So, you know, we have moved backwards, no doubt, in the past century in terms of our accessibility for trains and train lines. So any progress towards identifying even a plan is progress in itself. So I'm more than happy to second this. And yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Hawkins. So, members, that has been proposed by Councillor O'Hanlon, seconded by Councillor Hawkins. Are we all agreed? Thank you, members. Okay, we will move on now to agenda item 4. And agenda item 4.1 is the Economic Development Action Plan for Recovery and Growth 2023-24. And Nicola, you're taking us through this, so I'll hand over to Nicola.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening, members. Report 4.1 is around the Economic Development Action Plan for Recovery and Growth 23-24. So the decision required, it is recommended that members approve the 6-month short-term action plan detailed in this report to support inclusive recovery and growth. The action plan will sit alongside the Support Council's investment in the Northern Ireland Entrepreneurship Support Programme.
Thank you very much for that, Nicola. Members have read the report. Is there any questions on the contents of it? Councillor Hawking, your hands up. No, that's from previous time. Okay. So, members, if there's no questions, could I have a proposer? Councillor Mackle, and seconder, Alderman Baxter. So that's 4.1. We all agreed? Thank you, members. 4.2 is an information item. It's the 10X Economic Delivery Plan for 23-24. It's an information item. Is there any questions? Are we happy to note, members? Happy to note. Thank you, members. We're moving on to agenda item 5, and that's a Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture report. And that's going to be taken by Brian Johnson. There's 2 decision items, members. The first one is 5.1, museum accreditation. Brian, so I will hand over. Sorry, Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So the decision before members tonight is related to museum accreditation. And you will see in the report that currently we have 4 accredited museums. I would just say, in terms of context, the F.E. McWilliam Gallery is another museum, and it'll come forward in autumn time. So the recommendation before members this evening is two recommendations: to approve the documentation, policies and procedural manuals, collection, care and conservation policies and access policies for Armagh County Museum. And the second is to approve the removal of Craigavon Museum Service from the Museum Accreditation Scheme and transfer the Craigavon Museum collection to the Barn Museum Accreditation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Brian. And members, as I've read your report, you know what's contained in it. And if a proposer, Councillor Mackle, a seconder, Councillor Alexander. So that is proposed by Councillor Mackle, seconded by Councillor Alexander. We all agreed? Thank you, members. And item 5.2, the NI commemorative stones. And Brian is going to take us through this report, members. So, Brian, I'll hand back over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So I think I'll just, if with your indulgence, I'll walk through the detail of this report, because there's 4 options before members this evening. So in terms of background, in December 2020, members agreed the NI 2021 as part of the NI 2021 centenary programme towards the installation of 15 commemorative stones to be installed at various locations across the borough. There was a number of discussions at working groups and different options brought forward, and again that's part of why we're delayed at this point in terms of getting agreement. So I've outlined a number of 4 options for members this evening for your consideration. So I would like to just walk through them. Option 1, which was probably the concept that was most developed at the time, is the installation of 12 of the stones at this point, or 11 stones at this point rather, and you'll see the locations outlined there. They're all on council property, and it was proposed in this option to keep 4 in reserve should any need replaced, and again the installation would be through the parks team. Option 2 is again an amalgamation of a number of conversations with members and a number of site visits to various locations. So it's the proposal is to install 15 stones at the various locations outlined. Again, these are obviously, there's a bit of movement with these in terms of where these would ultimately be, but we've taken recommendations from members in this regard. So again, the local with these, we will need to put local agreements in place because there's different landowners involved in this, and a new policy screening exercise will need to be completed. So option 3 is proposing gifting the stones to the Royal British Legion to install them at war memorials throughout the district. And again, these have been outlined. I think there is one at Market Hill where there's already one of these stones has been installed. I think by a third party group. So that was the Market Hill option. And as the stones will be gifted, the council will not be responsible to complete policy screening exercise. And the 4th and final option is that the commemorative stones be placed at the 3 civic buildings as outlined. And again, the proposal is to identify other sites. For the remaining 12 stones, a call will be made through the council's grant portal asking for applications for suitable sites. As the stones will be gifted, the council would not be responsible to complete a policy screening exercise, and the installation would be the responsibility of the successful organisation and community. So there is the 4 options before members tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Brian. And first member looking to speak is Alderman Baxter, so I'll bring Alderman Baxter in.
Thank you, Chair. And I know this has been ongoing for quite a while now, and for obvious reasons. There's quite a bit of work involved when we're talking about so many stones. And I know the working group have sort of discussed this to death on and off, Brian, and I think some things have been lost in translation and whatever, but I think what we have tonight, there's a serious set of options there, and I want to thank you for bringing them to us. It's good to see it here at committee this evening. We've been through it as a party, through it with the members of the working group, and have discussed it as well. So on that, I think for us, option 2 would be the preferable option. It gives us that bit of flexibility, I think, where you can work with local reps as well. Look, we don't want to put these in anywhere that they're going to be deemed to be controversial, and I think that's important too. So I think option 2 gives us that flexibility to work and to work through it, and it gives us the next stepping point to eventually get these stones delivered. So yeah, look, it was agreed a long time ago that we would purchase them and we would put them at the various locations. So now that we have it in black and white in front of us, option 2 would be our preferable option. I propose that, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Baxter. Members, you might remember when I was chairing meetings before, I like one proposal at a time, so we keep things instead of getting messy. So the next person to indicate is Councillor Lavery. So I'll bring in Councillor Lavery. If you're going to make a proposal, I'm then going to go back and get a seconder for Councillor Baxter's and get his proposal put to bed before we move on to another one. So I'll just bring in Councillor Lavery now. All right.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Brian for bringing the report. This has been discussed at length about 3 years now. On this issue, it's been going on, and I do recall at the time there, as was noted in the report, there was kind of consensus around 3 sites at the civic locations, and then a proposal was put for an additional 12 without clarity at that time where they would go, which caused this 2-year delay. I won't rehash the argument that was before. The stones can be bought, and we are where we are. Maybe just have a look at the options then. I can see some concerns with regards to option 1 and 2. I think it's sort of fairly straightforward to put them at civic sites, but when we get them into sort of likes of parks and things, it does bring in equality implications, and those are particularly highlighted with regards to option 2. So I think for myself, it kind of rules out option 1 and 2, so we're left with 3 and 4. Still some uncertainty around option 3. Again, I don't know what if the Royal Legion are 100% behind this, or what will be the long-term upkeep and things for them. In general, option 4 seems to be the way to go, with one at each of the 3 civic sites, and then it's up to the community for a bidding exercise where interested groups can then put them in the various localities in the borough. I think, just as a side note, I think as an organisation we need to do better in the way we recognise all of our community, various groups in our civic sites, while that's from various political traditions, the trade union movement, campaign for women's suffrage and the LGBT equality. I think we need to have a detailed conversation about that, but it is for another time. Chair, as you noted, I suppose in favour of option 4 here, but I know you said we'll take them one at a time. So we'll see, and if you want to come back on that, thank you.
And I will certainly come back to that, Councillor Lavery. So just like to keep things in their compartments so I don't get into a mess here. So look, the next person to speak was, yes. Your proposed option.
A proposed option, proposed option number 2, but I see in the actual decision required, there's 2 parts to it. So the first one, obviously, I'm happy to make that part of the proposal. I think I only mentioned, the other stones, but
yeah,
number 1, we're happy with civic headquarters as well. Just to clarify, thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Alderman Baxter. So look, there's a couple of speakers who wish to indicate, so I'll go to the next in line, and that was Alderman Barry. So I'll bring in now Alderman Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and could thank Brian for his presentation and the officers that have been involved in this. This, as some have said, has been ongoing for a few years, but it's important to get it right because of the importance of this particular issue. I would just like to second Alderman Baxter's proposal there in relation to this particular option 2. I think it incorporates a lot of the area of the ABC in relation to the towns and villages that are proposed in option 2, and I think it would be something that would reach majority support surrounding the whole of the area, because they're going to be in not just the civic centres but also the town centres at key locations, which I think is very important. I think one of the options there, which was 4, was basically it was going to be a free-for-all for 12 other stones. I think this here would be a tidier option and a cleaner option, and I think it would be good if we could possibly get it progressed sooner rather than later, in my humble opinion. But thank you to Brian and his officers for the work they've done to date because of the nature of this.
Thank you very much, Alderman Barry. There's 2 more speakers, and then we'll take the proposal on seconded recommendation there. So I'll bring in Alderman Moutray next.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to second Alderman Baxter's proposal, but now that has been done, I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Moutray, and I'll bring in Councillor Merkel, and then we will deal with the proposal.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, option 2, I think, was involving, as it does a lot of other people's land, it makes it, I think, a far too complicated process. So if you could come back to me after you've dealt with the other 2 proposals, I might have a proposal myself at that stage.
Yep, Councillor Merkel, we certainly will. So members, we're going to go back to the proposal of Alderman Baxter and seconded by Alderman Barry. And that was for option 2 in regards to the centenary stones. And the part 1, I think, as Councillor Baxter said, that has, it's included within that anyway, I think. So we'll take that as read with it. So are we agreed on this? No, we're not agreed. That sounds it. So members, we will be going to a vote. You can, Alderman Baxter certainly can have a recorded vote. So as always, folks, I will be doing this by hand because it's a recorded vote and there's people at home. We can't use the voting system. So we will start the vote on the proposal by Alderman Baxter, seconded by Alderman Barry. So I'm going to start off with the Vice Chair.
I'm voting no.
I'll get you bring in just so we can hear you, Councillor Alexander.
No.
Alderman Baxter.
Yes.
Alderman Barry.
Yes.
I have an apology for Alderman Burns. Councillor Paul Duffy.
No, Chair.
No. Councillor Flaherty. I don't see Councillor Flaherty online. So Alderman Greenfield.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Keith Hawkin.
No, Chair.
Councillor Lavery.
No, Chair.
Councillor Mackle.
No, Chair.
Councillor Ashley Mullen.
No, Chair.
Councillor Jude Mull.
No, Chair.
Councillor McClellan.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor McElrath.
Yes, Chair.
Alderman Mugre.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Mulholland.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor O'Kane. You had your card in? Just that's all right, just shout it, it's be all right in here. Just shout up.
No, Chair.
Councillor O'Hanlon.
No, Chair.
And myself, I am no. And Councillor Kyle Savage. He is not in the chamber and he is not online. So members, give us a couple of seconds here to total these up. Okay, members, so that was a recorded vote. There was 7 members for the proposal. They were Alderman Baxter, Alderman Barry, Alderman Greenfield, Councillor McClellan, Councillor McElrath, Alderman Mitra, and Councillor Mulholland. Against were Councillor Alexander, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Hawken, Councillor Lavery, Councillor Mackle, Councillor Ashley Mullen, Councillor Jude Mullen, Councillor John O'Kane, Councillor O'Hanlon, and myself. So that was 7 for yes and 10 for no. So what I'm going to do now is Councillor Lavery indicated he was going to bring forward a proposal, so I will bring him in now.
Thank you, Chair. As sort of outlined previously in my remarks, I suppose option 4 was my preference, and I'd be willing to propose option 4 as a way forward.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lavery, and you proposed that, so I'm assuming Councillor Alexander is going to second it, so I'll bring him in.
Happy to second.
Yeah. So members have had option 4 proposed and seconded. Are we agreed? No, not agreed.
No.
Another vote? Okay, members. So we're voting on option 4 now, so I'm going to bring in Councillor Alexander.
Yes, Chair.
Alderman Baxter.
Oh, sorry, no, Chair.
Alderman Barry.
No.
Councillor Duffy.
No, Chair.
Councillor Flaherty. Oh, she's not online. So not online. Alderman Greenfield.
No, Chair.
Councillor Hawken.
No, Chair.
Councillor Lavery.
Yes.
Councillor Mackle.
No.
Councillor Ashley Mullen.
No, Chair.
Councillor Jude Mullen.
No, Chair.
Councillor McLeod.
No.
Councillor McElrath.
No, Chair.
Alderman Mitra.
No, Chair.
Councillor Mulholland.
No, Chair.
Councillor O'Kane.
No, Chair.
Councillor O'Hanlon. Councillor O'Hanlon. Right. Myself, I am no. And Councillor Kyle Savage is not in the chamber and he's not online. So Councillor O'Hanlon. Right, he's not on at the minute. So that is a vote concluded. So members, that was a recorded vote. There was 2 for the proposal and 14 against. Is it a recorded vote?
It wasn't asked to be recorded.
Well, no, so that members, that wasn't asked to be recorded, so we'll just give the figures there. So that was that 2-14. So that falls. Councillor Mackle, I will bring you in.
Thank you, Chair. I would propose option 3 to gift all 15 stones to the Royal British Legion.
Thank you, Councillor Mackle. I'll bring in Councillor O'Kane.
I'm happy to second that, Chair.
Okay, members, this requires another vote. Just hold on, Councillor Baxter, bring you in.
Just, thanks, Chair, just in terms of the Royal British Legion, were they ever approached about this? Because I wouldn't be sure what role the Royal British Legion would have in terms of any centenary. I don't think it would be in their remit really, or probably in their terms of reference or whatever they use, unless they've been spoken to. I'm not sure.
Alderman Baxter, I'll ask Brian if he knows anything, but then no matter the answer, we propose it and seconded, so we'll take that. So Brian, I'll bring you in to see if you can shed any clarity for Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. I think there would have to be local discussions with the British Legion at each site. I don't think there was one overall conversation with them, so yeah, there would be still a bit of work to do on that.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Brian. So we'll have a proposal from Councillor Mackle, seconded by Councillor O'Kane. So we will take a vote on that. So I will go to the chair in the first instance. Councillor Alexander.
Abstain.
Alderman Baxter.
Chair, I just think it's important for us to say that, not having consulted with the Royal British Legion, or I don't think we're in a position probably to vote yes or no on that. There'll be a lot more work needing to be done before we could agree to that. So on this occasion, and for that reason, I'll be voting no.
Alderman Barry.
No.
Councillor Paul Duffy.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Flaherty. Not online. Alderman Greenfield.
No, Chair.
Councillor Hawken.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Lavery.
Abstain, Chair.
Councillor Mackle.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Ashley Mullen.
Yes, Chair. Yes, Chair.
Councillor Jude Mullen.
Yes, sir. Yes, Chair.
Councillor MacLeod.
No, Chair.
Councillor McElrath.
No, Chair.
Alderman Moutray.
No, Chair.
Councillor Mulholland.
No, Chair.
Councillor O'Kane.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yes, Chair.
Myself, yes. And finally, Councillor Kyle Savage is not in the chamber and he is not online. Just gives a second, our members that will top this up. Okay, members, that proposal, there was 8 members in support of it, 7 against it and 2 abstained. So that proposal is carried. Okay, members. Oh. So members, we're going to move on to agenda item 6. This is the report from the head of community development. There is 2 information items. 6.1 is a collaborative approach to addressing antisocial behaviour. And the second one, 6.2, is an update on Peace Plus programme. And Alison, I think, is going to just give us a brief update on 6.2. So I'll bring Alison in now. Let's see.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. And yes, just to give a very brief update, I suppose, on the current stage of where we are at with the development of the Peace Plus programme under Measure 1.1, which is the Local Community Action Plan. Members will have previously received updates on, I suppose, the process to date and what this programme entails. And within the report that you have in front of you, it gives a bit of the background that you would have had previously, including the overall budget for 1.1, which is sitting about 7.7 million. Just to report to members this evening, I suppose that at this stage we're very much in the heart of the co-design and co-production stage. We did contract the services of third sector consultancy who have been working with us from March, April, May time, and entered into, I suppose, a process of fuller consultation and engagement from the months of June to August. And they have been assisting us with that on a range of different consultation and engagement sessions with the public across the DEAs, focus groups, key stakeholders, as well as internally with staff as well. For that, and alongside that then we have established a project management team within council led by the head of community development, and we are obviously regularly reviewing where we are at in that process for that. The stage that we're at present, where we head to next will hopefully be through more sessions of the Peace Plus partnership working groups. The partnership has been divided up into 3 working groups based on the 3 thematic areas of 1.1, and they have met initially to consider the draft programme and project proposals, which you have in front of you at Appendix 2, I believe, tonight, and very much, I suppose, the overview of detail at this stage. Then following that, the Peace Plus partnership will meet to consider and approve, obviously, more detailed proposals, including budget breakdown, participant breakdown, etc. And then we are hoping to bring back to council in October for consideration and approval and submission in early November. Just wanted to mention, just with referring to Appendix 2, if you do get an opportunity to go through it, it does give a breakdown of the 3 thematic areas, and Theme 1, Local Community Regeneration and Transformation, is essentially the theme where capital projects and regeneration projects will be developed, and we're looking at potential expression of interest programme through that will go out to the community, alongside also helping those communities to develop their capacity to develop such projects. And with that as well, we're also considering the development of a signature project, potential urban sports park, which I know has been through discussions in council as well. So that's up for consideration at the moment. Our theme 2 of thriving and peaceful communities includes a wide range of programme areas, mental health through to new communities, through to environment, young people, older people, play in the community, volunteers. Very, very broad, and I hope you'll agree it's very comprehensive. Some of those areas would have been successful Peace 4 projects, or projects that have been successful throughout other departments in council and other funding programmes, and we felt it was important to hopefully build on that and sustain some of those. And then theme 3, building respect for cultural identities, covers history and heritage, as well as multicultural inclusion and cultural identity as well. So I would just encourage members to have a look at those thematic areas, and we hope it is as comprehensive as it can be. There has been extensive consultation and great feedback from the community and other stakeholders, but if you do feel there's anything key that should be included, that should still be considered, please feel free to follow up with myself or Seamus or John Devaney, who's our programme officer. Now is the opportunity, I suppose, to still develop before we put the meat on the bones of the broader detail and budget detail. So hopefully it gives you a sense of flavour of where we're at the moment and what's being considered. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks very much for that. Members, 6.1, 6.2 were items for information. Is there any questions? No, I'm happy to note. Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder to go into confidential business? Alderman Greenfield, Councillor McElrath. Okay. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, except information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ACT officers to turn off the Did I seek a proposal second for decisions we made in confidential business? No, I didn't. Alderman Greenfield, Councillor McClellan, sorry guys. So can I now ask the ACT officers to turn on the public feed again and confirm with me when it is on so the meeting can proceed again in open session? Okay, members, agenda item 8 is any other relevant business, and you'll be glad to know that nobody contacted me before 12 o'clock today regarding it, so you're free to go. So have a nice evening, members.